Look at this. This is Ganges River near Varanasi. And what are you seeing is 15 years of satellite imagery from 2009 up to 24. You can watch the river channels shifting, sandbar forming and disappearing, and the floodplain changing shape over time. And what is the best part? We built this entire analysis from scratch using Python and completely free satellite data in a single Colab notebook. Hi, today we will be talking about this particular project that I had in mind. So let's get started. So I've talked about Google Earth Engine in my previous lecture. In case you haven't seen it, please go through it. So if you want to register, you can just register here on this particular site and follow the steps which I have given in the previous lecture and you're good to go. So before we jump into code, let me quickly explain the catalog that we have. So you can see here, GE has a beautiful data catalog, which is completely free for us to use. The key advantage is that the computation happens on Google servers, not on our laptop locally. So even if you're processing thousands of satellite images covering all of India, your computer is only sending the instructions. GE does the heavy lifting here. For this project, we will use two Landsat missions, Landsat 7 for the years 2009 to 2012, Landsat 8 for 2013 to 2024. And both will provide me a spatial resolution of 30 meters. This is more than sufficient to clearly map the Ganges channel. So you will set up your GE account like I had shown in the previous one. And now I had also told you that every project needs a particular license here. So for this, I have created a Ganges project and I have a non-commercial license for this. I have also activated the engine APIs here. So let's come to the Colab. This Colab is for you to download. I have given it in the description, so you can download the link and you can recreate this entire project. So let's first understand what are we trying to do. We will first load the satellite imagery from these years. Then we'll compute the water index that I had told you in the previous lectures. I have given the link of the relevant lecture. You can go through that also. It will map where the rivers were present each year. Then create a 15-year animation which we saw. It will also plot a graph of river water over time. We can also export the geotiffs to our Google Drive. The study area is Varanasi to Prayagraj reach. So we have basically the coordinates here. So Earth Engine API is the official Python client for GE. GE Map is an excellent open source library provided by Dr. Quisheng Wu that adds interactive mapping and many useful helper functions on top of GE API. So we are importing both of them. Now the authentication part. So I have already registered. You can register here the project that you have, and you can see here the project name is this particular Ganges project that I have. So you can see here, this is the project ID that I have, which I have put here in my Colab file over here. So you will get an ID for your project that you create. You have to amend it here. So after you give it permissions, you will get this message here, Google Earth Engine initialized successfully. Now here we are defining a study area. So whatever area that you want to choose, you can choose it here. The min-max of the latitude and the min-max of longitude have to be specified. So these are the coordinates which I have given, the minimum longitude, minimum latitude, max longitude, max latitude. So it will give me a rectangle here. So this is my ROI, which is taking these coordinates. I could directly pass this list over here also. The month start, so we have given it. So we are analyzing only November to December. This is the post-monsoon dry season. So the water is clear, sediments have settled and the river boundary is at its sharpest. That is why we use these 2 months. Using monsoon months would mix the river channel with flooded agricultural fields, contaminating our results. Here the cloud threshold is set to 10. We only accept images with less than 10% cloud. So my study area is defined, the months are defined, and the maximum cloud cover is defined by this. Now the main part, we are detecting the water index. So we have already talked about this. So to be able to understand this, you should know that water strongly absorbs shortwave infrared radiation. So the SWIR band value is very low for water pixels. Green reflectance stays high. That is why MNDWI is positive for water and negative for soil, vegetation and buildings. That is why we are using this. So we are using two functions here. Like I said, we'll be using two kinds of imagery. So we have two functions for these time periods here. So this is the image that we have according to the filters that we have. A median filter is applied here to just remove the noise a little bit. And you have clipped it to the ROI here. Now in Landsat 8, the bands are like this. So band 3 is the green, band 6 is the SWIR. So we are using the normalized difference again for these bands, and we are putting it into MNDWI. This line over here converts the continuous NMDWI image into a binary mask. 1 is for water, 0 is for not water. Then you return the water set for the year that you have. Similarly, you will get for the other image that you have. Here the bands are different, so we've used these bands, and the similar thing is done here. So here you are using band 2 and band 5. Same concept. So water mask is now defined. Now we are building the 15-year water mask collection. So you will loop through all the 15 years. This is for 1 year that we have. Now we will collect. So L7 years, where Landsat 7 was operational. This is the range 2009 to 2013. L8 was operational from 2013 to 25. These are not included, so this will be 9 to 12 and this will be 13 to 24. And then all the years is a combination of all of them. You define an empty list for masks here, and then wherever this is applicable, if I'm talking about years before 2013, then they get appended into the water mask 70. Else, for this, it will be appended to the mask 80. Because we have two kinds of Landsat images, that is why we are doing this. And in the end, we'll have a list here. So all the values are now combined. So frequency image is the most informative result in the entire analysis. Each pixel gets a value from 0 to 15, representing how many of the 15 years were classified as water. So we would have dark blue meaning water is almost every year, stable, permanent channel. Light blue means water is only in some years. So that is why we were seeing in the GIF some dark pixels and some light pixels which are kind of fading out. White means that it was never classified as water, permanent land or anything else. So you can see here we built all these masks for all the years that we have. Now we will build an interactive map. So I was talking about this. Dark blue is water detected in most years, lighter is occasional water, and individual years is also generated. So the gradations are not actually visible here. See, what we are trying to do in this code is we are trying to see the gradations for each and every year. So I've done this with the frequency. So you can see here, as per the water frequency, we are giving a palette here, and the frequency palette is set from 0 to 15 with an opacity of this. So the palette is as per the occurrence of number of water pixels for each and every year. And here we are trying to grade it and see which water pixels are kind of available through the year and which are kind of depleting and increasing. So these seem to be kind of permanent. This is just for visual purposes. Now moving further on. So now let's make this quantitative. Let's compute the actual water covered area in square kilometers. So this is the variable which is stored at value for each and every year. So over here, this returns the area of each pixel in square meters. We multiply it with water mass so that only water pixels contribute to the sum. Then divide by 1 million to be able to get the value in square kilometer. And here, this is the plot part. So let's see how the plot looks like. So it's calculating the water area for each and every year. Now, one thing which is strikingly odd here is that 2009 shows only 41 square kilometer, dramatically lower than all the other years, which generally range from 83 to 135 square kilometer. So this looks a little odd. So basically, you do not accept the first result. That's you investigate it. So this is how my water looks like over the years. For this, we will do an inspection. But let's further go on. So I'm right now just exporting this to a GIF animation. So I've collected all the images and then I have made a GIF which you saw in the beginning of this tutorial. So you just run it and it will download it on your computer. It's saved here and you can see this animation has been generated. You can also save this TIFF file on your Google Drive inside the folder GE Ganges. So the folder name is given and you can export it using this. Now let's do the verification by the JRC Global Surface Water Center. So JRC stands for Joint Research Center, published by the European Commission and one of the most rigorously validated global water datasets available. So let's verify from their results. So you can see here 2009 was 85.15. So as compared to our estimation and their estimation, see this one 2009 is way off charts. Otherwise we are doing decently fine. And these data sets are not available in the JRC. So we are just taking our values here. So the critical difference from our calculation is that JRC has already corrected for data gaps, for sensor inconsistencies, and for cloud contamination using sophisticated processing developed over many years. So if our numbers match JRC, we are solid ground. So wherever we are kind of significantly way off their values, this is a 50% underestimation by us. For these, the percentage is okay, but yes, there's a gap present. From 2013 onwards, our values and JRC values are within 5 to 10% of each other. So that is why we can say our calculations are reliable. Before this, they are kind of not matching up. So what happens from 2009 to 2012? Landsat 7 SLC of problem. So in May 2003, the scan line corrector, a mechanical component on the Landsat 7 failed. Every image captured since that has striped data gaps covering almost 22% of the scene. That is why those missing pixels have no data. So that is why we are getting lesser values and underestimation. So there is no bug in our code. It is just the sensor problem. And that is why we have been able to do this. So finally what we will do is that we will look the correct values. For here what we have done is for 2009 to 2024, the initial years we have taken the JRC data. For the data 2013 to 21, we have taken an average of ours as well as the JRC data. And here, since only our data is available, we have taken our data. So this is the final value that we have in terms of years for the Ganges. So hope you've understood some things with this project, and this is how you do end-to-end projects in a very simple way. So this brings us to the end of this lecture. I will see you in the next one. Thank you.